everybody. So, today we are going to be analyzing another one of PegasusChess's games. This is a day ago, from now, as the time that I'm recording, and we are going to see if he has gotten any better. Let's see if he's a better teacher now. My guess is that he won't be. And we will again be looking at the eye movement. This appears to be a different setup than last time, so maybe he's changed. He hasn't changed his the opponent he is facing though. He has not changed that sadly. It's still Francis at 2300. He is still also not showing his own account, which of course that is not a great sign. Again, we have his stupid course over here. Gain 200 elo 90 days. That's not going to happen. What you're going to do is waste $99 a month or waste $24 on his course, on his book, rather. But let's get right into it, eh?
In this video, I am going to teach you how you can instantly start winning more chess games. All you need
Wow, I'm so excited for this, right? Let's see.
to do is watch this entire video and then actually start using what I am about to teach you.
I will use it, guys. I will play some unrated games on chess.com using everything he says in this video. I will ignore my own play and I will follow this guy, and then we will see how that turns out.
So what I will teach you is a thinking system. A thinking system is basically a list of steps that you can go through during your game to find the best moves. And every strong chess player uses a thinking system. If you don't have that, what you are most likely going to do is most players either play way too aggressively, sacrificing, attacking their opponent, doing completely the wrong things.
I don't think those two things are very related. If you don't have a thinking system, you're just playing random moves. If you're sacrificing stuff, you at least have the idea of checkmating them. It's some kind of a thinking system. It's not a good one, but I would argue it still is one.
People also just make completely random moves that have no
Yeah,
purpose in the
that's what it is.
position,
This
which
the
eventually leads
random
to
moves is correct. Yes.
strategic and positional mistakes. But by using a thinking system, you will be able to always find good moves.
Not always. There's still some times where no matter whose thinking system it is, they're still gonna play a blunder. I mean, Magnus Carlsen, he has a thinking system and he still loses games. So I mean, it it's not always, but you know.
Thinking system is something that we are mostly going to be using in the middle game. So
you should still use it in the opening too, because who knows, your opponent might, I don't know, play a Benoni. Not a great opening, but you know, if you don't know what you're doing against it, you're probably gonna get destroyed. So yeah, you should use it in the opening too, especially in the end game. Yeah, in the end game as well. You should also use the thinking system. You should also know like general ideas of valuing piece activity, usually somewhat more than material, especially in rook games. You want active rooks. If you don't have an active rook, it's much harder to play. It's much harder to be accurate, so you should still have a thinking system in the endgame.
The system that I will teach you is something that you can use with white, with black, no matter what opening you play, but we want to use that in the middle game. We don't want to use it in the opening yet. So what I am going to do for the opening is I am going to keep it incredibly simple. I'm not even following any opening here. I literally just put one of my...
You kind of are. I mean, this is what I used to play in Bullet. I would just like pre-move. I'd actually, I believe I would play d4 first and not knight f3. I interchanged them, but sometimes I would pre-move knight f3, e3, bishop e2, castles d4, c4, and then like pre-move taking on d5 if there was something there. That's what I used to do in Bullet. I don't do that anymore, but that's what I used to do. And I mean, this is an opening. This is just like a terrible collie if you inch out of the bishop here. Other than that, this is just not great. I mean, black has not played great either. We got a knight in front of a c pawn, especially versus a passive weird setup. You should really be getting that c pawn in to strike at the center there. But yeah, anyways.
Pawns in the center, protected it with a different pawn, developed my pieces, my kingside pieces, and I castled. And it's only once we have castled that we are going to start using our thinking system. So the first thing that we should always do is we should look at our opponent's last move. Blunder prevention is
If looking at your opponent's move is part of your thinking system, you should be using that thinking system from the start of the game. Because I mean, if black as if your I mean if your opponent is castled, they have so many more opportunities than they used to have. They can go and get all their pieces and attack you very quickly without having to worry about things like king safety. And personally, for me, I just attack you anyway. I don't really care about king safety. That's just like my style of play. Um, I'm uh, I'm a very good defender and a very good defender in chaos. So that's why I don't really care about king safety too much. And if you're playing a person like me and you're using this thinking system of looking at your opponent's moves first, I'm going to destroy you early on in the game because that will be apparent based on your play.
always our number one priority. Black just castled. Does this threaten something? Are they threatening to win something? Are they threatening to checkmate, to win a piece? No, they just castled. So there is nothing that we should worry about. Then it's our turn to make a move, and that is when we will start using this thinking
C4.
system. To remember the steps that you need to go through, all you need to remember is these letters: C, C, T, O. Check, capture, threat, optimize. That is the steps that we are going to go through every.
I would put CCTI like improvement because like I mean you obviously well he targets adult improvers because he knows that they will never like improve as fast as this guy would because he's played a lot before, and I mean he does know how to play chess, but he knows that kids will become better than him so easily. So he uses like big complex words and stuff like that. He also says it's an adult learning channel. It's to like uh, drive kids away. So yeah, I would write improvement.
Single time to see which available moves we have and to decide which move we will play. Most of the time early in the game, there will be no check. There will be no capture. That's good. There is actually no capture at all here. Oftentimes, there are not really that many threats early in the game. A threat would be when they have an unprotected piece and we attack it, something like that. There is no threat.
You can attack defended pieces as well. For example, let's say you had two moves here and you play b4 b5. That attacks the knight. It's defended twice by both pawns, but a pawn is worth one, a knight is worth three, and a knight can do more than a pawn. But I mean, if you go like all the way to the end game and it's pawn versus knight, and the knight's all the way over here and the pawn's like over here, knight can't do anything, so the pawn can do more. It just depends on when in the game it is, but usually the pieces are going to be better. There are some cases where you would rather have three pawns for the piece, particularly in endgames. That is usually a good thing. For example, two pawns, sixth rank and beyond, especially if there's a king there, a rook can't guard against both of them because you just attack it and then you push the other one. It can't move diagonally to go back and take the promoting one, so yeah, it can be defended, is the point.
So a lot of the game you need to optimize, and that is mostly what I will teach you in this video.
C4.
How to optimize. What should you think about when you want to optimize? So for optimization, there are a couple of different strategies we can use. I will just teach you those that come up during this game. So first of all, I like using my E pawn, D pawn, and C pawn to influence the center. These three pawns are very important pawns. They help either fight for the central squares or they are just in the central squares. And
I would just like to point out his chessboard is clearly here, and the camera is up here when it looks like he's staring right at you. And we will be monitoring where his eyes go, because before in my last video I made about this, after every single opponent move, he looked over here, and I mean that tells me that he probably had something highlighting the best moves automatically. So all he would have had to do is glance because it was very fast, and it was almost too fast to be like actually transferring the moves. So I think he has a highlighter on the other screen, but he could have stopped doing that. He could have just stopped cheating and just tried to teach on his own. Because I mean, he probably could. He can teach complete beginners, I'm sure.
Moving them also helps to get more pieces into the game. So c4 is always a good move. Again, every time they make a move, technically we should actually stop, look at that move, evaluate what's going on. They are trying to take something. Okay, I can take that back, no problem, and then we continue. I will not be doing that during the entire video out loud, but I am doing it in my mind, basically always looking at their move first. If you don't do this, you are going to blunder at some point. Okay.
Well, even if you do this, you will blunder at some point, sometime. Like again, Magnus Carlsen, he has this just automatically in his head, like all the checks he could play, all the captures he can play, and he has a very good filter on like which is good, which is bad instantly. And I mean, it's you boil it down to just intuition. You take all the boil all the water out, boil it all out, all the mumbo jumbo, and it's just intuition. It's just having a good enough intuition, especially for speed chess. That is why Magnus, Hikaru, and rest in peace Daniel Naroditsky were all like 32, 3300, and sometimes even 3400 rated players online in speed chess. It's because of intuition. Usually they don't calculate stuff as much. It's just oh, this move feels nice. This move puts pressure. This move feels good. You know?
Okay, so no check, no capture. Well, actually, we do have a
Yeah, okay.
capture. Um,
The fact that it took him a while to see that he could take a pawn with the pawn that he was talking about for like the past 30 seconds, that's pretty insane to me. That it took him a second to realize that, but yeah.
So we need to evaluate it. I never
Pulling up the analysis board mid game again. Oh my. The board changed colors, so he's in analysis. He actually hid the settings bar this time with like the engine stuff on it, but yeah, this is still the analysis board. The board changed color, bro. We can all see that.
recommend capturing a central pawn if they can recapture with it.
And you can't make your opponent's moves in like the actual game, so it's pretty clear he just copied this into an analysis board, which he did it pretty quickly, so it makes it seem like he already had it on, but you know.
Central pawn. And I will explain to you why. This c4 pawn is a good pawn because we are hoping that they will capture us so that we can develop our piece. We could also use it for something else.
It is already developed, and I mean, if you go here, it is kind of biting into nothing, and black is already castled, so ideas of like sacking on e6 and having like an open e file with like a queen stuff, it's not gonna happen, and your e file isn't even at that open, so them taking you, it's completely fine. I mean, white is still better here, marginally, because of black's stupid knight on c6. But yeah, um, you're not really hoping for that.
Later in the game, either to push and start the queenside attack, or maybe at a critical moment to exchange.
Yeah, to push, you would want your rook over here defended because you don't want b6 and a5 hitting your dark squared pawn chain. Whereas if you played a3 and then they take you, your rook would be hanging. So you need to get all of your other pieces out before you start doing things like that.
But you should never exchange if they can just replace the pawn, because in the end, all we did was we helped them. We opened up this diagonal for their bishop, while previously that bishop was stuck. So this would not be a good capture.
And what black would probably do here is try to feed in shadow the bishop. Try to play this somewhat like a collie. I mean, honestly, going to b8 and d7 might even be good too, because I mean, this knight is just so terribly placed.
There is no threat, so we optimize. We bring one of our pieces closer into the game. Okay, the opponent moves into our position. That's the first sign that we need to start to be careful here. Knight to e4. Should we take this? We have a possible capture. Well,
Yeah, the see, he changed to the analysis board and he looked over here, so
be careful
if you
here.
can see.
Knight
He's
to e4. Should we take this? We have a possible capture. Well, if
he
we
looks at
take,
the other screen and then the analysis board comes up. So the analysis board is clearly already up, so he obviously has an engine that he can see during this game. So um, yeah, it will become more obvious as the moves become faster, and um, yeah, but yeah, he's it's not looking good in the cheating regards that he already had this up. He either just switched tabs onto a different screen, or he just had like some kind of split screen. But there's obviously some kind of engine over here that he looked at and then opened up on his main recording screen.
this, we help them because getting a pawn to e4 is amazing strategically for black. It looks a little bit ugly because the pawns are doubled, but this is a very good pawn because this pawn attacks the knight, and if this knight is gone, then the most important defender on the king side is gone. They will play f5 so they don't lose the pawn, and then
Now, the reason why this isn't the greatest is because of how bad this light squared bishop is. If this light squared bishop could be like more of a participator in this game, that would be true. The other thing is that there's no knight here. There is a knight here, and this knight does nothing to defend this pawn. And f3 is the critical pawn break in this scenario. Not to mention you have a dark squared bishop that can have discovered defense on the e3 pawn if it's ever targeted with a dark square attack. So this whole thing here is not great, I don't think, and I will actually check it with the engine to see. Yes, white is better. Point 3.4 and f3 is the best move, as I explained. I mean a3, f3. They're both equal, and the best move is actually to take because I mean, let's say you play here. You don't want to allow me to take you because then I'm winning a pawn. Even if you defended the pawn, still don't want me to take you. So yes, f3 and you're chilling.
they will think about starting a kingside attack here. Queen
That is an idea here, but f3 and the breaking apart of the center is just way too fast to be doing that. So black has to be very careful, and they also have to take your pawn.
rook, multiple pieces could go in. So in general, don't allow them to put a pawn on e4. Also, this pawn is just annoying as it's taking away squares into our position. So
So
no,
yeah, you would go here.
we are not going to.
I actually wonder what is the actual move. Yeah, the best move is to attack it and try to threaten to win the pawn instead. Taking is not well. It's not great, but still, it's completely fine because this whole thing, and I actually think he followed the engine through here, except for the actual pawn break because he clearly doesn't understand that
Capture this. All
white
right.
will be able to rip black center apart so fast that they would, be forced to actually take that.
So checks, captures, threats. We have a possible threat. Queen to d3 as a threat. This move as a threat because of my.
The best move was queen c2 doing the same thing, but this is just the least accurate version of it. Makes me think he's trying to play the second best move because this is just for someone of the elo that he claims to be, which is around 2300. A 2300 wouldn't go here. 2300, if they wanted to attack the knight, they would go to c2. This pawn's already defended, and not to mention, if it was taken, that knight would be free. So queen d3 is just a far more awkward and just bad version of the queen c2.
My opponent doesn't do anything.
We're pulling up the analysis board mid game again. I mean, it was clearly already on another screen that you can see, but yeah.
Take, take, take. That is what I mean with a threat. It's a simple move that threatens to win a pawn or win something. So queen here to d3 was a good threat. They play f5, which
it was not a good threat. Queen c2 was a far better and simpler version of this queen d3 move. Not to mention queen d3, it gets in the way of your own piece. Your bishop is just sad and depressed now. So, not to mention, you might be opening yourself up to a pin if the bishop fianchettos, or giga fianchettos all the way to a6 here. That's a pin on your queen, and it also x-rays your bishop, and they would be trading off their bishop, which is biting into all of their light squared pawns, for yours, which is not biting into all of this, and you're left with this dark squared bishop. It's basically just a French bishop at this point.
Is good that reinforces their knight. I am a little bit worried here about the possibility of black playing knight to b4, so we will just play a3.
And yes, the engine also did like a3 to
To
stop
make sure that we get rid of this. Okay. And my opponent is playing a pretty good game here. They have a well.
Not really. Again, Francis apparently loves to put the knight in front of the c pawn. It's not good, but
Centralized knight. This is a strong piece.
Again, he's looking over
supported
here
by the pawns, and they did not really make any mistakes so far. The goal with using this thinking system is that we never want to be the first one to make a mistake. Blunder prevention is our priority. And we are looking for checks, captures, and threats because if our opponent makes a mistake, we should see it and we should win a piece. Oftentimes, against good opponents, for a very long time, there will not be any check, capture, or threat that you can use, and it will basically be optimize, optimize, optimize over and over again.
That is true, and that is the hardest thing to do about a thinking system like this, is just playing on when there's nothing obvious to do. That is the hardest thing to do here, and that is where you have to have an intuition in order to play optimal moves quickly, or improvement moves very quickly. That's why you need an intuition. That's where bullet comes in. That is why you should play some bullet, because it improves the intuition, and you can transfer that into slow games like rapid by you get the intuition, you get the bullet intuition at the start, and then you use that intuition to then use your time to look into it farther and see which one you think is better.
At very low rating levels for beginners, usually there will be many checks, captures, and threats, and there will just be many tactics in your game. So we need to optimize. How can we come up with a good plan in this position for optimization? There is a
You should try to kick this knight out. I mean, you can't take it because then any pawn is going to take back and fork you. Preferably the f pawn opens up the rook. It also closes off the potential for d5.
General strategy in chess, which is that you need to play in the direction of your pawn chain. What am I talking about? All pawns are looking in this. All pawns, that's not true. The central pawns are looking in this direction, so we should play in that direction. That's a general plan you can use. So playing on the queen side is actually a good plan here. That's why I played pawn to b4, which also helps us because now we can develop this bishop to b2. It's still not an amazing piece, but at least it's already more valuable than it was on the c1 square. They take, which I think is not so great for them, because they...
You need to be you should have pointed this out. You need to be very careful in positions like this, especially when there's a knight being supported by a pawn. It can be captured like this. You really need to be careful about d2 and d3. d2, for example, the knight already sees it, and it would fork your king, and it would fork your queen and rook. Not to mention if you had maybe a rook on b1 or maybe like a queen on b3, which can also be quite common in queen's pawn positions, trying to hit b7 or pressure the center. This would also fork that. You have a knight here, but sometimes you don't have that, especially in some kind of queen's gambit positions, where you're going knight d2, f3, and then e4 to try to get something on the board. If you're not going to play on the queen side with a minority attack, then f3, e4 is an idea, and if you're going f3, you don't have a knight here to guard d2, so you can get forked.
We just lost a central pawn, and also they helped us because now we have this queen on this diagonal facing off with the enemy king, and actually this pawn is just pinned. So things are starting to go right for us. I think our opponent has made their first strategic mistakes. Okay.
It's not really a strategic mistake. It's just kind of a... It's hard to describe the kind of mistake that is. It's more of a positional one. You're allowing the minority attack to be much better, and it also hits your knight with tempo. And same with this hook over here. And you're also allowing your pawn to be pinned. So yeah, I would say it's a positional mistake.
And now this is really an interesting position because we have developed our pieces. I mean, our rooks are not yet in the game, but we have developed
these quick
our knights and
glances
our
are
bishops,
so
and also
funny
our
to
queen
me.
is into the game. And
He's like pretending that we don't know that you just switched the engine and then recorded it.
Opponent did something very strange here by capturing that pawn. I think
By the way, that comment I left on the last video, he deleted it. I think he saw that I was talking about him looking at the other screen, so he's trying to do it faster now.
they made their first mistake.
But yeah,
So
it's
we
pretty
need to
clear
see
that
if
you're
there is
doing it.
something we can do here. The way that you will find the best moves is still the same. It's still using the thinking system, checks, captures, and threats. But we are slowly getting at a point where there will be checks, captures, or threats. We already have a check that loses the queen, but it shows us that there is already some tension on this diagonal.
No, tension is not the right word here. The right word here would be that this is a hella big weakness. It's backwards pawn, it's pinned, and it's also somewhat isolated because this pawn, um, it's ahead of it. I mean, it's a backwards pawn, but it's one of the worst backwards pawn ever because it doesn't even have two things that it's guarding. So then, you would have had multiple things, and like at least you would control the square in front of it. Which you have a knight here, but it's only protected by one pawn, and you could actually take this, and then try to like get maybe some d5, maybe knight g5 in. Considering the queen has just left this dark square diagonal, this would be a lot easier to do. So yeah, and not to mention you can back the queen up here or here. Here I would probably play that. Actually, it depends. I'd go either, but the point is to get the bishop over here to pressure this even more. Moving the dark squared bishop would be a discovered defense, and also that the opponent has knight d8, which also defends it.
We also have a threat, the move pawn to d5 as a
Yep, this is exactly what I was talking about. Getting stuff like d5 on the board.
threat, because we are attacking the knight, and if they have
Pulling up the analysis board, bro is like trying to rub it in that he's looking at an engine for this.
just taken that pawn, that would not be great. I think we would take with the knight, and then everything is opening up towards the king, and we are even setting up a potential discovery. You could also take with the queen with a check and go from there. I think that could also work.
That would win a pawn, by the way. The star squared bishop can't discover or attack your queen because there's no square to go on it where it's check. Your king is on a dark square, and this is a dark square bishop, so you do have to keep that in mind, like what this bishop could possibly do against your king. But in this position, there are no checks in that. So yes, it would win a pawn.
So that was the plan with my d5 move here. I am trying to play for a threat. Our opponent made their first mistake by allowing us to do this. They attacked the queen. That's definitely a problem. So we need to move. And I also want to keep an eye on that pawn. So I think we will just go back to the square we came from, this d3 square.
And now check wins a pawn.
Okay, they take. We can take with the knight. We can take with the queen. But taking with the queen is great.
Taking with the knight no longer has any value here because there's no discover check at all. Not to mention this still wins the pawn with knight takes e4, and then queen takes e4 after the pawn takes. But even if you were over here, the check is still probably better because you would win a pawn.
Because that comes with a check, and they cannot do anything. They cannot block with the bishop, and all of these pieces are actually under attack at the same time. So you can see my goal was not to attack my opponent. My goal was just not to make any mistakes and slowly improve my position, following my philosophy, following my thinking system. And we are already actually completely winning, I think, at this point.
You definitely are.
Because we have a simple sequence that wins material. Knight takes e4, probably pawn takes e4, and queen takes e4. But we have to be careful. The moment you want to line up your queen with another piece like a queen or a rook, we need to double check that this bishop cannot do anything like give us a check. Because if I take this, and imagine if this bishop, imagine if it was there, and it could go bishop to h2 check, then we would lose the queen, because suddenly your queen would be under attack. But in this position, nothing to worry about. We can just capture this. And we are actually already up a pawn. Just being up a pawn is not going to be enough to win the entire game, especially with good defense from the opponent.
This is also something you would have to have worried about, is getting your queen trapped. It's not trapped here, but you do have to keep an eye that you would have squares that would be freed up. For example, this is it the only move? No, you can go here. But yeah, your queen can be attacked a lot. You just have to realize that you have escape squares either through here and then going back on this diagonal, or here and then going to g5, wherever your queen might get attacked, or going back.
But it's already something. The queen is under attack. We have to move. I would say just go back to the square we came from. It's a good square. We are still on this diagonal. Okay, they can
Keeping the
attack me
pin,
as
yeah.
many times as they want. We are just going to stay on that diagonal. All right.
Again, he's looking over here after every
My
move.
opponent
It's
played
yeah, he is definitely still cheating, and his instructional value has actually gotten a little bit better. He is actually saying like pointing out good things, but the problem is he needed an engine to be able to see it, and if you need an engine to be able to see it, you can't describe it to the best of someone else's ability who doesn't need an engine to see it. But yeah, and by the way, this is a pawn threat. Takes, and then the knight or bishop can take. Knight, I would imagine, is probably better according to the engine because it frees up the c pawn, which is now backwards.
a5, but I think honestly that they are just completely collapsing under the pressure of this position here.
No, no, that's not what's happening here. They're threatening to win a pawn, and even if you take, the knight takes, your queen's handing. This pawn was discovered, defended by the queen, so
Because things are not looking so great for black. A5 is a bad move, but honestly, there was not much that.
it's not a bad move. I will actually go and check. I don't think it's a bad move. It might even be something that I would play. No, it's black's move. It was 1.9, but yeah. I mean, yeah, it's honestly something that I might play. It is +6 because of this. This is pinned, but I didn't think this was actually as good. But yeah, you can go here, and yeah, that's pretty bad. Hold up. I just want to see something here. What was a better? What would have been a better idea? I feel like this would be a good try to get the rook over here potentially. Yeah, I thought there would be better defenses than what is going on. I actually thought there would be a better defense, but the point is, it is threatening to win this, but it did relinquish the defense of this. I didn't think it was actually that bad. I mean, I did think it was probably like +3 after this, but I did not think it was like +6.
That they could do. Why is this a bad move while CCT checks captures threats? That's just a capture, and now we have an extra pawn.
Oh well, the bot actually played what I
Very important.
thought would make this less bad.
We have now come to the moment where we have two extra pawns. As soon as you are up 2 points of material, there are two things that you can consider. One possibility is just literally trade everything. Just trade everything, play for the end game. That is usually the strategy that I like most. Play for the end game, keep it very simple. The second thing that we could do, since we are actually quite well developed and we have three long range pieces looking into the enemy's position, we could also try to see if we can keep up the pressure, put up multiple threats, and see if we can win even more material. So, first move that I look at is the check, but it gives away the queen, so we won't play it. Second move I look at is the capture. So we can capture this, they capture back, and then we have a fork.
That's not a fork. That's just an attack on a piece that's worth more and it's pinned. So that's just all you need to know there.
Okay. The only move that I was a little bit concerned with is the move bishop to e6.
Yeah, that's why that's not a fork, because of that.
Attacking our queen, but we can move the queen and our fork is still in play. So I already found a possibility with a capture that works. So I'm going to be playing this. I'm sure some of you are thinking about maybe bishop here, going for a pin. I'm not.
That's way simpler than what you just said.
Not saying that's worse, but I always stick to my steps. If there's a check that works, I play the check. If there is a capture that works, I play the capture. And this time there is a threat. Knight e5 is a threat, threatening to win a rook. And there's not much they can do. This does not even matter. I think we even have the time to just slowly recapture this. And
you do, but in this case, you should be taking one of the rooks and then taking back. that is mostly because, yes, there is complicated stuff that might happen. You might have this rook win a tempo and the rook gets away.
Nothing really
But
changes because we still have this knight attacking these two rooks. Yes, we do need to move the queen. That's not a problem. We can even pose a new threat by attacking this rook, and they are just collapsing completely. All right, bishop to f6. Okay.
pins the knight to this.
So again, we follow our system. Do we have any checks? No. Do we have any captures? Yes. We have a capture on c6. We have multiple captures on c6. If we capture with the knight, it is somewhat complex because we could lose the bishop. That's one thing.
You're gonna lose it anyway. If you take with the queen, they can just take, and then they do
And
the same
also
thing.
possibly our knight could get pinned to the queen.
That is also another thing, but in that case, you would take the bishop.
Possible problems if we take this with the knight. We have another capture, which is queen takes c6. If we play queen takes c6, well, we capture a piece.
Him looking at that analysis board constantly is just so funny to me.
They could capture back. We could capture back. They could take here on this b2 square, but we are still up in material. We are up 4 points of material, and we have massively traded, which is actually exactly what I would want. Especially trading the queens is very important. As soon as you are up material, you should think about
I love how he didn't even mention any of the back rank ideas that could potentially be in effect.
Trading queens, because if the queens are off the board, that is their best possible counterplay gone. Without the queen, the chances that they will have something are very slim. Okay, so our rook is under attack. We need to move it, and we can actually fix that with a check. So that looks fine. Oh, they give me a trade. For sure, we are trading. And this is an endgame that 100% you should win this all of the time. But I'm pretty sure that many of you would think, oh, maybe this would still be a difficult endgame. I am not sure how to win this. Well, first,
it's not difficult. The only issue would be that there is a bishop pair, so that could get annoying if they just keep on spam attacking your rook. But yeah, it's fine because you have a knight.
First of all, if I could trade my knight for one of those bishops, great. That's good. We should do that. That's one more piece of the board. No, that's actually the first thing that I'm going to start with. Let's just put the knight here and see if maybe we can force them to trade with this bishop. That's really my plan. So I'll just poke. I call this poking. Let's just see if they go for it. Yes, they go for it. All right. So we have traded. This endgame is winning for white for multiple reasons. First of all, they have 3 pawns and we have 5 pawns. So we have 2 extra pawns. Extra pawns in the endgame are great. We can push them. We can try to make a queen. The other problem that they have is that they have a light squared bishop, which means they have no control at all over the dark squares.
So that's not the issue is that it's a bishop versus a rook. That's the issue. It's not what color it is. What color it is doesn't matter. For example, like previously they had the bishop pair, so that was even less of an issue because they control both. And bishop pair versus rook, the bishop pair is usually better, but not in this case. There are too many pawns.
So if we do something on the dark squares, they will never be able to challenge us. They have no pieces to do that.
And I mean 2 bishops versus a rook solely, like no knight.
All right. What we should try to do in an endgame is we should try to create a passed pawn. A passed pawn is a pawn that can promote. We have 2 pawns here, and there's 1 pawn stopping us. If we can get rid of that 1 pawn, we will be able to promote. So I'm going to try to see if I can use my 1 pawn here to eliminate that one, because right now we already have our passed pawn.
You
this
can just take that.
is a passed pawn. It is a pawn that can promote, so that's great. All right. My opponent here plays a bishop to c6, and I am now going to demonstrate to you my most favorite tactic in the endgame. Rook takes c6.
That's not a tactic. That's just simplifying to make it much easier to win because you have 2 extra pawns. You will lose this one, but it's still 3-on-2.
And you might be thinking, why are you...
And honestly, at this point, I would not go for a 3-on-2 because, especially in speed chess, if I have low time, there are some actual drawing mechanisms against a 3-on-2 where you can perhaps trade it into a situation where it is 2 versus the flank 1, which can be a draw, because if you ever push the g pawn at the h pawn, they can just ignore you or take it potentially. And if your king is guarding it, this black king would have opposition. So there are some tricks that
taking that
blacks can still
rook,
do.
you are going to lose your rook for a bishop, and also they will be infiltrating and winning your pawn. Yes, and yes, both of those things are true, but it is very important that you study your endgames. And if we have an endgame where we have this extra pawn, we are always going to be winning this. We can use the king to get.
You would still have to be very careful in this because this is a harder one because of some tricks that might happen.
With these three pawns to win this endgame. But
Him
you do
just
need to know your
incessantly staring
endgames,
at the
because if you
analysis
don't
board
know
is
your
funny.
endgame, you are going to horribly, horribly mess this up. So the plan is just that if
Yeah, so why would you go for it if you're gonna horribly, horribly mess this up?
we can push these pawns, it's a 3 versus 2 situation. So
Looking
we will
at the
always
oh
be
my
able to
lord.
create a passed pawn. All we need to
Looks
do is make sure that we
again.
can shield that king as long as we can from infiltrating, so that it's basically not participating in this game. Um, so if you think, well, maybe I would not be able to win this, maybe I would mess up this endgame. Well, one, you should probably go study your endgames. Two, you could
Wow, that was insulting.
also have kept the rook. There was no need to exchange the rook. For example, f6 is a move that ruins the game. They take, we take, and then they will go after this pawn. So that's not something we want to play.
You
What
want
we
to do it the other
basically
way,
want
actually.
to
You want to
achieve is
trade
we
this
want to
one.
achieve a position where we can capture the g7 pawn and then also promote this one. We don't want to be left with the rook pawn. The rook pawn is always a very drawish pawn in general. So that's not the point, the pawn we want to have left. But this is okay. I mean, they have to make a decision at this point. We take the pawn. Yes, now it's the rook pawn that we have left, but we control all of the crucial squares. And we will be able to promote. And then after we promote to a queen or rook, this should be an easy checkmate. And if you don't know how to do this, you really need to start working on your endgames. So that's it. Please try to use this strategy in one of.
Why does he never show the checkmate? That's always that fascinates me as well. How he never shows the checkmate. But as promised, guys, I will be playing some unrated rapid, and I will. And yes, we all miss Daniel Naroditsky. I did play some rated. Got some easy points out of that. We'll be playing some 10-minute unrated because I don't want to lose rating. This guy sucks at chess, but point is, he is still cheating. He was pulling up the analysis board multiple times. He was looking at the analysis board on another screen after every move, and it was obviously an analysis board he was looking at because when he looks to his right, the analysis board pops up. So, yeah, he was looking at it to pop it up. So, taking a little longer to find a game than I would like. 1560. Actually, this is perfect because someone like this, they're lower rated than me, but I'm using a horrible teacher as my coach for this game. So, yeah. Um, so we need to be solid, right? We need to take um, we don't want to trade and help them develop, so we need to stay solid, and we need to stay solid. We need to play this move. Now we don't want to take because that helps them develop, and then maybe they have some here here ideas that would be unstoppable surely. So we will play solid with knight f6. They take, that is already a huge blunder. We will take back. This is when they go here. This is a huge blunder, because we can take. Taking this was completely free. They are a pre-moving Patrick over here, giving me a very active position, and we might already be winning. Potentially. And now we are going to play a very engine-like move. I'm not cheating, I swear, but we are going to prevent them from castling because that is what we do around here. I am Belgic. Or I don't know what the right word for that is now. And that was just embarrassing. Okay, anyways. Maybe develop the pieces that we haven't moved. Yeah. Now we have a terrible pawn structure. Um, it's what you get when you follow someone who doesn't coach right. Now we will develop our pieces that we haven't moved, and then we will need to play more sol. Oh, we hung a pawn. Oh no. I wasn't looking. No. Fortunately, we have this engine resource of taking an undeveloped knight and then taking a pawn and having an active rook on the 7th rank, as we can win a tempo on the bishop and then reinforce our rook. So yeah, I'm trying to use his thought process, and now we don't know what to do, so we need to optimize. What is optimize here? Here stops any pieces from coming in, as he likes to do. This attacks our rook, so we must be solid. We actually can't move it really over here. So we're going to be solid, right? We're gonna be solid. Okay. Also, shout out to this guy, um, for allowing me to play an entire game. Some people don't do that. Some people resign really, really quickly. It's pretty sad, pretty tragic, anyways. Solid, optimized, takes more space. No, they are threatening us, but that's free pawn. They can take us, but they die. Okay, it's okay. We cannot take that, so we must be solid and go here. We take with the knight so that we can pressure like the bishops. Now we be more solid. We go here. We take. Eject. We go away. I'm very congested right now. It's bad. I'm very congested. Anyways. He attack. We take a free pawn. Yeah, we take a pawn and we blunder a draw. But we can get out of this. We have a check. We always have to look at our checks. No, we don't have any obvious moves, so now we need to optimize space. How about that? Space. Take more space. We are up 2 pawns as well, which means we will now need to trade. We don't trade if we're only up 1 pawn. So if we're only up 1 pawn, we're playing for a draw. But if we're up 2 pawns, we're gonna simplify into a win. We have don't checks, threats. Sure, we attack the pawn here. They take us. They take us. Okay, we take. No, we threats. We threats. We give threats. We give threats. Ugh. We give more more optimization. Getting more optimized. We go into the center. We stay solid. We must defend. We go into the center. We optimize. Oh no. I didn't look at all the details. No. I didn't look at all the details. Where was this in the chess lesson? Pegasus? How did I miss the detail? Pegasus? No, Peg. My boy Peg. No, where was all those details? We missed the details. No. Peg. Peg. No. Where was all the details? How can I see details? I looked at all the checks. I analyzed all the captures. But yeah, like in his analysis, he frequently doesn't look into every detail that there potentially could be. And at least there's stuff like this happening where there's stuff like several moves ahead that you wouldn't see by just doing that alone, and that's where stuff like intuition comes in. You would need that for um, to be able to play fast and efficiently. But yeah, we're gonna give a bunch of checks. We're gonna give a bunch of checks. We're going to actually pre-move trap him. Now I am just playing on my own. We're gonna no, he didn't fall for it. All right. So yeah, that's what happens when you follow his advice and only his advice, and you just follow that as if you're gonna win the game and not blunder first. Because if you do what he did, you probably actually will blunder first because the optimization it requires details, and you have to look at all of those details, and he never does when he does the optimization. He just plays the random top or second best move according to the engine, and yeah, that is what cost us the game here. Is because we didn't we didn't do that at all. And he says, "I am not. This is not normal. This is not normal at all." Okay, I can't type. Did he leave? No. Also, yeah, I'll just. Dude, I can't type. This is not a French channel, by the way. This guy's Algeria, French speaking area. They speak other languages there too, but French is one of them. And this guy, I guess, just speaks French. I mean, he probably sees the French flag and says, "Oh, I have to." But yeah, it's just saying I'm making videos and it's on disinformation. Did he leave? Oh, also yes, I'm saying yes, that's true. I mean, it's not a 2000 performance, but you can look at the my videos on disinformation. I can't type. Did he leave? I can't tell. I can't tell if he's gone or not. But yeah, this is what happens when you call up when you play like Pegasus. Um, you get made fun of in the chat. You just get made fun of. You just get made fun of. Okay. Is he here? I will record if he types back. But yeah, in the meantime, tell me what your favorite fruit is. What your favorite fruit is? Is he? Did he leave? Did he? Did he leave? Is he? Is he still here? Did he review the game? No, he didn't. Um, is he? Is he here? Are you gonna type to me? Wait, does he actually speak French? Um, this I don't know any French person who would say this like that. They would probably just say "ce n'est pas normal," uh, "pas du tout." They would just say "pas du tout," which means just not at all. And oh, he didn't type. I thought he typed. Um, yeah, all right. It seems like the individual is not present. I would have loved to record a chat. That would be fun. But yeah, this is what happens when you play like Pegasus. You get made fun of in the chat. You blunder a rook. You just hand everything, and it's all because you didn't look at details and optimization. You're just blindly forming an intuition without looking at details to form that intuition. Because if you don't look at the details first, you will just hand stuff, and that's it. See ya.